Alright family, welcome to the long-awaited part 2 of my clean day trading system. So, in this video we're going to be going over exactly how I find my theory levels and zones. So, I'm going to try to make this video pretty quickly. Last one did go over my time limit. This one should be a bit quicker. It's just a brief overview of exactly what I do to find my theory levels and zones. So, let's go over it. We're looking at Roblox today. I did hit this last week. I hit it on this day. This is the day I entered it and locked, I believe, most up the next day. And yeah, at open I locked up most of them, and then I still had runners and closed them basically at the top right here before rolling over. I should have held though, obviously. I was targeting 77. We hit it the next day, but it was still a 100+% gain. So not a bad trade. And so we're going to be going over how I would mark up Roblox for this coming week. So let's see. So first step for marking up for my system is you need to identify some previous consolidation, some previous chop of multiple days or even weeks, multiple weeks. So if you're looking at this chart, 15-minute chart, 5 days, this is not enough to get some solid consolidation. And this, I don't even see 2 days of consolidation in this range right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the days to, let's go for 30 days. And I'm starting with the 15-minute chart because this is generally the time frame that I like starting with. I like starting lower and then going higher eventually, just because I am a day trader and I love trading off of the 15-minute and 30-minute, or at least I love making my levels based off of the 30-minute mostly, but 15-minute is what I'll go down to sometimes. And then I will make levels for 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, and even daily and weekly charts, but less so than I would on the 30-minute, just because I am a day trader. So we're going to start with the 15-minute chart. And like I said, we want to look for areas of consolidation or chop in the stock. And as soon as we zoom out to 30 days, we can see that for around the past month or so, wait, actually this is around 2 weeks, my bad. 2 or 3 weeks, past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been in this range right here. And you could zoom out a little bit more if you like. Let's go for 90 days. Yeah, so we just came down. If we're looking at a bigger time frame, we just came down and then we're starting to consolidate in this area right here for around 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go back down to the 15-minute chart. Now, the next step after we identify this consolidation is we want to look more towards the mid ranges, the mid levels of this consolidation, the midpoints of this chop fest right here, versus not necessarily the outer ranges of the consolidation. So if you're wick hunting, for example, and you're looking at this chart, you'll probably go over here and you'll probably come here and mark this high right here. That's probably what we're going to be approaching soon. And if we were maybe towards the lower ends of this range, you'd probably mark this level right here. See if we could break down that level to go lower. But the reason I don't like doing that, and the reason I like getting my levels more closer towards mid ranges of these consolidation areas, is because if you get a breakout, for instance, I had a level around here or something, I'll find the official level later, but if I had a level right here, and I was playing this breakout out of here, I get in way earlier than I would if I would have gotten the breakout of this level right here. And you can look back at my last video on the whole theory of my theory levels, but basically I think the algos and the market makers like to get into these names way earlier than most retail traders do when they get in on these wick breaks, these high day breaks. They're already positioned in the stock, and if I had to guess, I'm guessing that algorithms and market makers, hedge funds got into Roblox the exact same day I did, because it showed signs of breaking out of a zone that I'll go over, I'll find for you and show you what I saw. But I have a feeling that the algos saw the exact same thing I did, because on Friday, they basically proved it. We got to 77 and we made a nice breakout. And if it goes for more, market makers were already positioned probably a couple days ago. They probably locked up most of their position here, and they can leave runners. And if it rolls over, the algorithms, the market makers can cut, and they made millions of dollars on this trade. Versus waiting until finally we make the breakout, where most retail traders are finally looking to go long, and the algos and the market makers are already up a couple 100% on this name. So that's why I look more towards the mid points of this this chop, and I like to look for inflection points, midpoints of inflection on the name. And also I like to look for days and maybe moments with higher volume than normal. So if we're looking at this right now, we're looking at the 15-minute, what is it? Okay, 2 weeks or so on the 15-minute chart. We can look at the volume right here, and there's 2 days that really stand out. We have this day, I can't tell if that's Friday or Monday. Looks to be Friday. Stands out with a little bit large volume. And we have Tuesday that stands out with larger than normal volume. So if I'm looking to make a level, these are probably the first days I'm going to look towards. So let's take a peek at Friday. Friday though, if we look on the 15-minute chart, this is the lowest time frame I'll go. Okay, if we have a big red candle like this on the 15-minute chart, you can assume for all the other higher time frames that it's going to be just as big or even bigger. So 30-minute looks even bigger. So that's why we stay with the 15-minute first. Oops, I have to adjust the time frame again. So we stay with the 15-minute. We're looking at Friday, and if this whole thing is the area of consolidation that we're looking to find levels in, remember we're looking more towards the middle right here to find a zone. And on Friday it looks like we dumped pretty hard, so there's no levels right here for us to grab before basically just slowing down until we reach the bottom of our zone. So Friday, it's too hard to find any key levels in this zone, key theory levels in this zone, so I'm going to ignore this day. Let's look at Tuesday. Tuesday is the same thing basically, except for the fact that we started near the top of our zone. So on Tuesday we fell pretty hard and then found this little mid area right here before pushing lower. And when we push lower, we're not even near the bottom of the zone. So in this area right here, there's probably some good levels to mark, as it was a higher volume day, and we are in the basically the midpoints of this entire consolidation phase that Roblox went through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in right here, and I'm going to basically experiment and pick and choose. And for instance, I can find this level right here. As quickly as I can do that. And what I would do is I'd look I'd look towards other days to see if that level actually made sense and it was clear. But the level that I did choose for this day was I chose this close right here. So it looks pretty clean, as even this wick nearly got there, and then it was a nice inflection point before it pushed higher, and then it pushed down. I love seeing fake outs even right when I make the level, and so we got a fake breakdown, push back up, and then we find out it was a fake break up, and we got the level right on the close of this candle right here. The reason I got the close right here is because that means that this candle did not close above my theory level, meaning we did not get 2 closes above, so it shouldn't be going higher, which it did not. And also make sure all your charts, you click on this button right here, make sure all your charts have snap drawings to open, high, low, close. That's what I use for all my charts, and that's how I got that level perfectly right here on the close of this candle. Now, so this is the level I used on Roblox. I found it on a high volume day, and it's one of the levels I used for my zones on this day right here. And so what I would do is I'd look at other days to make sure that it made sense. So right here, we got multiple closes under, and we moved down, and we moved down, opened up pretty down. We start approaching the zone again, we try to get a breakout, and it's immediately pushed back down, which is very clean. Pre-market we hold above, but then immediately start losing it, and we push back above pretty quickly. Clean rejection of this zone right here. This looks like a false breakdown, as we did get a lot of closes pre-market. And same thing here, as soon as we broke down, we got multiple closes under, and it worked well. The thing I like about my levels is they don't have to be perfect. Like I said, they just have to work with my theory. So I could have easily grabbed this level instead. It seems like it worked pretty well. I would have grabbed this close right here, so it wouldn't have closed under, and that's the reason why we pushed up. And it would have made sense because we got a close and a second close under this level right here, and we pushed down. You can look, it lines up with a wick. Close down, and we're down for a little bit until we close back above multiple times and we push higher. So these levels aren't that hard to find, and they don't have to be perfect like wicks do. For instance, with wicks, there is no question that this is what you would be marking if we start moving down. You know, there's no question that as we start breaking out more out of this zone right here, that you're going to grab this pre-market high or this high of day right here. Because that's what most of retail is basically looking at for a breakout out of here. But when you're in the middle of this consolidation phase of these stocks, you don't need to be perfect with these levels. They just have to work with our system. And if they work with your system, if they match the theory of your system, you're going to be able to create trade ideas out of them. You know, if I didn't find this level and I found this one instead, I still would have been able to make a trade idea out of it. This isn't even the level I used to make my initial trade idea. I'll show you that other level, by the way. But for instance, this level right here, I could have easily traded on the exact same day that I made my real trade. This isn't even a level that I had before, just found it right now instantly. And as soon as you get multiple closes above it, you go long, risking a close under. End of day, it tried to fake you out, but it held, and you get a nice little gap up. Even right here, if you want the confirmed breakdown of your level, say you were in on the multiple breakups, the second close of this level, you were in right here. You sat through a little bit of chop, so your premiums are probably getting a little bit hit. But if you wait for the second close under to confirm the breakdown, you don't get it at all. And then we gap up and we rip it open. And you let them go on 0 days, let them expire, and you're up probably a lot of money. So, like I said, these levels do not have to be perfect. You can make trade ideas off of levels that just work with our system. So I'm going to take off this level for now, but it seems like it does work. And I'm going to show you the other level that I found, which was on this day, I believe. Even though it's not any exceptional volume like Friday or Tuesday, it did have pretty steady volume, as where most of these other days they died out on volume pretty instantly. This one took a little bit to die out, but pretty consistent volume, consistent buying from market makers and algorithms. So I did look on this day to find an inflection point, a midpoint at which the stock either took a second to break or took a second to hold up before breaking down, or actually completely rejected and marked as an inflection point. So that's what I found right here. You can pick either one of these closes. They're the same at 73.6. So basically what I'm saying is we did not manage to close under this level on the 15-minute chart, so that's why we held up, got a close above, multiple closes above, and that's why we pushed back higher. And if you look back, the level is clean. This 73.6, it is clean. Even in this part right here, as soon as we broke down, we even got a close under, multiple closes under, so we break down more. Right here, we tried to fake break down before getting pushed back up immediately. Same thing around here, try to fake breakdown, but push back up, and pre-market we held above, and that's why we basically gapped up. Right here, it's not the cleanest just because it is such a big drop, but we did get multiple closes under this level, and that's what sent us all the way down. And so that's why on this day, what was this, Wednesday, I found a trade on Roblox. We pushed initially towards this level, no closes above, rejected, slowly went down, and then around 30 minutes, an hour later, we finally got back above. We got one close above. And I think around here is when I entered. I entered above this level, and my risk was any 15-minute close under this level, and I would get out. And it did try to basically fake out algorithms or people who are trading this type of system. It did try to fake us out by breaking down this level, but it pushed back up just a couple minutes before the 15-minute close. I remember watching that, and that's a really indicative sign that they are ready to push this name when it looks like they're slowly dropping it, and then right before the 30-minute mark or the 15-minute, 45-minute mark, etc. On this example, it was 10:30, right before 10:30 at around like 10:26 a.m. Roblox pushed up in just a couple minutes and got back above the level really, really quickly. And that was a really clean sign that we did get 3 closes above this level and it is ready to run. And that's when I honestly should have doubled down my position, but just stayed confident and made a nice 100+ return on this trade. So let me think. So that's how I find a little zone. And what we can do now is determine if this zone right here, because we're going to mark it with a rectangle. What you'll notice is your 15-minute zones are going to be generally smaller than your larger time frame zone. So this zone is only around, what, 50 cents or so. But yeah, now the question is this zone a supply zone or a demand zone? And depending on which, I'm going to mark it as either red or green. Supply zone, at supply zones normally selling will occur and it'll be pushed back down, and at demand zones normally buying will occur. And if you look at these zones that I find, you'll notice that honestly both happen for these zones. If I mark this as a demand zone, for example, where I say normally buying occurs here, you can say, okay, well, we broke down and it didn't really work that well. But what I'm trying to say is supply and demand is generally one will occur more than the other. Either will be bought up or will be sold off more often than not at these levels. And the way I like to find out whether it's selling or buying is I like to find the first instance at which we encountered this zone in the past couple weeks or month or so. I'm not talking about the first time we encountered this zone on like a daily chart, for example, on the very first day it IPO'd. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. Even this is not what I'm talking about a couple months ago. I'm talking about recently, when we first entered this area of consolidation. That's what I'm looking for. So right here, this is when we first met up with the zone. We got bought up, went down here again, tried to sell off under it, but got bought up immediately. And so even right here, we got bought up. So already it's looking more like a demand zone where normally buying will occur. So that's just how quickly I can determine if it's a demand zone or supply zone or not. So I'll mark this as green for now. You can see we did end up losing it, but just the next day we got back above it and like held inside of it. We did try to lose it again, for example, and we got pushed back above. And then we finally did really lose it on a really rough day where it held under for around 3 days, but then we get pushed back above. Now, if I had this zone before this day, for example, or this day, for example, I am not saying that I'm not going to short under a demand zone just because it's a demand zone, nor am I saying that I won't buy calls if we get above a supply zone where normally selling will occur. But I do prefer to I do prefer to buy calls above demand zones or inside or near demand zones than I would with supply zones. And same thing with puts. I would prefer to buy puts near near supply zones than I would near or above demand zones. But I will do both. You probably see me trade both. It's just personal preference. If I wanted to be very strict, I would only trade calls near these demand zones. And if we did break down like this, I just wouldn't be a part of a move like this. But I am not too strict because I do make money both ways. And I'm honest, and I believe I'm green. My P&L is green both ways of trading these demand zones and supply zones. Like for demand zones, I believe I'm still green if I am shorting under the demand zones. But it is just personal preference that I do like to mark these as demand zones, and I will look to more often buy calls near these things. And that's exactly what I did here. I knew it was a demand zone, and as soon as we start holding above it, I want to go long and make good money. So that's how I find zones. So I'll do that, and I'll go up the time frames to 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, daily, etc. for the names that I'm looking at for the week. And what I do like to do is I do like to start with the daily and actually look for some sort of pattern on a big daily time frame to maybe work with to narrow my focus down, since this process can take a while if you aren't fast with it. If you're new with it, it will definitely take a while. So make sure you experiment with it. Try it out with your own chart setups. You don't have to give up on your own wick hunting. You can just add this to your repertoire. Make color code your zone so you know that maybe this zone is a part of my system, the clean trading system, and it's not necessarily what you've grown up in trading to learn. So I do recommend all of you guys try it out. This is how I find my zones. One other thing, what I will do is I do also use POC from John Carter, and so I'll mark this, and what I've noticed is POC will act as a theory level for specific time frames. So sometimes it works on the 4-hour chart, sometimes it only works on the 15-minute chart. And one other thing, if a level works on a higher time frame and a lower time frame, I will name them. I forgot to name these, by the way, but I'll name them as the lower time frame, and I'll look to trade them on the lower time frame, just because I am a day trader and I like the quicker movement. So we have a 15-minute demand zone right here, POC right here. We can start with the 15-minute chart, see if it's clean on the 15-minute chart. If it is, so closes above, try to break down, push back immediately, held above before breaking down, multiple closes, moved lower. Pre-market nonsense right here, but then finally get a close above, multiple closes above, and we push higher. So this is pretty clean for a 15-minute chart. I'm going to mark this as a 15-minute, and I'll just say POC, but it is a 15-minute level. If we do go back down there to these levels right here, I'm going to be focusing on the 15-minute chart for Roblox specifically. Now, like I said, this could have represented a 4-hour, 2-hour daily level, for instance, but in this example, it worked on the lowest time frame possible. All these instances we got to it were really clean, so I'm going to leave it as a 15-minute level. Now, few other things I want to mention before I completely end this video is, yeah, I did mention that I love my levels, that the fact that they don't have to be perfect, like wick hunting does. They just have to work and follow our theory, and the theory was multiple closes above or under should technically be a breakout for algorithms, market makers, and us. And one other thing I love about these levels is we can leave these levels up basically forever until they stop working. Personally, I do change mine around every 1 or 2 months. I'll go back to each chart, clear up all the charts, and just completely start over. Just a fresh chart for a new month or so, but that's just personal preference. You can, if they work, you can leave them on forever. That's the way I like to think about it. So this is a level I found on Wednesday, or maybe a couple days ago. That's why I was focusing on Roblox on Wednesday, but I did find it a couple days ago, And this is probably a level I'm going to have, it's probably a zone I'm going to have up for a long time. If we ever do head back towards this POC or this zone right here, I'm going to focus on Roku, see if we can maybe get bought back up again, get some closes, pre-market drop right towards this level, hold above it, and buy calls, risk a red or multiple red closes under, and if it flies, we make a ton of money. If it closes under, we cut easily. So, getting out of breath, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Anyways, this video did go on longer than I expected. I'm going to have 2 more videos coming out on my clean trading system. One's going to go over some of the other indicators I use, and then one's going to be coming up with trade ideas based off of our zones that we went over in this video. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.